Are you looking to get more likes and saves and shares on Instagram? Well, if you're watching this video, maybe you want to learn how to get all three. I mean, why not? Instagram wants engagement, right? But perhaps not all engagement is good engagement, and maybe some are better than others. We've actually learned this ourselves, and we want to help you figure this out as well, along with sharing some tried and true proven strategies we use to get one, two, or even all three forms of Instagram engagement. So let's get into it today as we help you step your gram up on the latest episode of the Social Roundtable. Welcome everybody to another episode where surprisingly it's just going to be me and Megan here today. No guest today, but we do have once again another great topic that you guys are going to be interested in. I can't wait to get into this, Megan. More likes, more saves, more shares. Um, how are you feeling about this topic?
Oh, so excited. I am excited to be here. This topic is one I know many people are interested in, and we're always wondering how do we get these things, especially with all of the updates that we experience and all of the different changes that happen when it comes to algorithms and content, etc.
There's always changes on Instagram. That's like one of the laws of life. You know, there's taxes, there's death, and then there's Instagram changes. That's something that we just can't get past. But we are going to help you deal with it, especially in regards to saves, shares, and likes today. How you can actually get more engagement on Instagram, because we're going to talk about why it's so important for us to be even considering engagement and some of the ways that we utilize strategies and tips to get specific types of engagement. So we are glad that you guys are here joining us today on this episode. Once again, this is the Social Roundtable. If you've never been here before, welcome. We're so glad to have you. If you're a returning viewer, it's so good to see you once again. As you guys know, we like to kind of get straight into it with our moderator who is in the live chat. So please shout out to Angela. She's in there as well. Please be positive. If you want to keep the comments going with in the conversation with the live chat, please go ahead. She'll be able to respond to you. Myself and Megan would try as well, but we are trying to pay attention more to the on-camera aspect. But Angela is going to help us with the live chat. If you guys have any questions, comments, please go ahead and share them in the live chat. We'll try to get to them as we continue on with our conversation. Once again, we are talking about how to get more likes, saves, and shares on Instagram. So, with that being said, Megan, I think we're going to kind of go right into it. My first question is kind of a toss up or a layup question, but I kind of want to set the grounds and kind of see how we feel about the engagement in general, because in regards to engagement on Instagram, we kind of hit as buzzword all the time in regards to likes, shares, and saves, and some of the other forms of engagement that we are not focusing on in this particular episode. But I want to talk about Moseri. So, like, I feel like I should just start calling him Adam on a first name basis because we bring him up so often.
I
But
agree.
yeah, right. Through his frequent post updates or Q&A series that he hosts on Fridays via his IG stories, Adam Mosseri speaks of various ways to get engagement, the top engagement metrics to consider, and so much more. So I want to ask you, Megan, why is engagement so important on Instagram?
Well, it depends on if it's, important looking from the lens of the creator or the Instagram app itself, like the company or the user, but ultimately it's signaling to Instagram that people are enjoying being on their app. It's signaling that they are enjoying that piece of content, so it helps shape their algorithm to show them more content like that, and also helps the creator have that reward of knowing that people are enjoying their content and getting something from it as well.
I like that. I like the word that you use, reward. We feel rewarded when we come across certain content, and the algorithm says, hey, you guys are engaging with this. We'll reward you with more reach. Sometimes that's kind of how we could kind of look at it as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to kind of summarize engagement, the importance of engagement. I kind of look at it in two different ways, whether it's the algorithm aspect or the audience aspect. And when I say that with the algorithm, kind of as I just stated, the algorithm looks at the content and says, okay, this content is getting good engagement, it's getting X amount of likes, it's getting X amount of shares and saves. That deems this type of content good, and we want to show it to more people. So we're going to increase the reach on it. We're not going to show it to 100% of your audience. Unfortunately, I don't think Instagram's algorithm would ever do that. But they'll, maybe if they start at 3% of your audience, they'll then increase it to 5, maybe even go to 10 if it's doing well in engagement. And the more it does well, it's the more that it shows it to more of your audience. But at the same time, those that are seeing it, if they really like it, they're sharing it. So it goes even to a wider audience than you were normally able to be reach. The other aspect is the audience perspective. You kind of summarized that, other people like to see that it's doing well. I think that engagement on post is a scroll stopper itself. Like if I come across a piece of content that has like, a couple 100,000 likes and, a couple thousand comments, and you can see those numbers with saves and shares as well, that makes me stop and pay a little bit more attention to that piece of content, because it's almost like other people are kind of giving it more respect, they're giving it more clout from these numbers, and I'll stop and pay more attention. So I think engagement is really important on Instagram. Anything else that you wanted to add to this?
That's a really, really good point, because I know there is, this message out there, which is important, of, telling people that at the end of the day, these metrics don't shape you and how, like, your worth, right? So don't let it get to your head, but also know that psychology wise, user behavior, like, yes, the more we see someone else engaging with it, it is going to signal to us to stop. And I don't know if this is on your um, Instagram, because like one of my profiles it is, but the other one it isn't. I can see followers that, okay, so if I follow like my friends and I'm coming across a random page or reel I've never seen before, never engaged with, I'll see like their little picture and hearts from them show up on that.
Yeah, that's one of those new features that Instagram, once again, Instagram is always changing. That's that new feature. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if you click on, 'cause I know there's one where if you go to the top, it shows the images at the top of the reel, and it has like maybe two or three of your friends with the heart. If you click on that, it takes you to their new Reels tab section where it's like only friends have liked these reels. I know some people feel a way about it. They almost say like it makes it feel like a little bit, you know, invasive in a way, because now I know what type of content you're liking. But I always also feel like it helps me discover more content from my other friends and family members who probably even have, similar interests like myself. If I'm into basketball, my friend, you know, Joe might be into basketball as well, so he might be liking some of that type of content that I now come across.
Yeah, exactly. And like, if you're friends with those people and it's coming out on your feed and on their feed, and you see they like it, then you probably like it too. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I could see that.
Before we move on, we got a very interesting question in the live chat. James asks, based on this conversation, do you think it's beneficial to keep likes unhidden? That's a really good question. I have to admit, I don't hide likes. I kind of just put it all out there in the numbers, whether they're good or bad. But I think it now might change people's perspective to put it out there. It might be a little bit more beneficial for them to show the numbers, whether the numbers are bad, And when I say bad, it's not really bad. They might be low, but that doesn't necessarily mean bad. If you got one like, and please like your own content, so you could at least be that one like. I like all of my content first. All right. So nobody beats me to
Love
liking my own content. But
it.
um, I don't think that's a bad thing to show your likes. Do you hide any of your form of likes, whether it's reels, carousels, or anything? And in regards to this question, do you think it's beneficial to keep them unhidden?
I don't, I mean, okay, so I personally don't hide any, because I feel like as a consumer, when I see somebody else hiding it, I'm just like, why? Like, I
Mm.
don't care how many likes you got. And I also like just want to reach out and like give them a hug. I'm like, you're okay. Like, you're still really good. Like, it doesn't determine your worth, and you shouldn't be embarrassed by it. But I understand why people are, and like my engagement has gone down drastically compared to a year ago. So yes, there's parts where like times where I want to, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. But I don't, because I think that it's important for people to see the reality of we all are experiencing that. And to know that, if there's a post that's getting a lot of views and a lot of reach but maybe low likes, that might also tell someone like, oh yeah, there's a lot of other engagement types going on here, and there's different types of value. We'll go into that, why people save something versus like something. But
Hmm.
yeah, I don't think that there's a benefit to doing either way. I think it also depends on your audience, right? Like if they respect you for keeping it or not.
That's I love that aspect, that point. We looking at it from the audience's point of view. That's something that we don't sometimes consider, but I think that's a really great way to look at it. So yeah, I mean, there's no wrong way. Like if you hide them, fine. If you don't, fine. Like it's personal preference, up to you. But I think I agree with that. Just saying, I don't think there's a true benefit either or. I haven't seen the evidence of that via the algorithm, but it might be more from, as just kind of stating, from a person's perspective of how they look at it. So, um, I'm always saying test both. If you could test it, come to see what your audience favors, move forward with that one if you like it as well. I hope that answers
Yeah.
your question, James.
I, I will say too, if you're someone who keeps your likes on most of the time, but then there's like one that you don't, I, as a consumer, notice that and I'm like, that stands out to me too. Of just like that one that you choose to hide. I'm like, oh, come on. It's like we all have posts that
Yeah.
flop.
Yeah, we got sometimes we got to acknowledge and live in our flop era, because that's where you actually do the most learning. You don't learn, when you're just constantly successful. You learn from those mistakes that you've made, the errors, the flops. That's where the most lessons are taught. So hey, live in it. I want to share something that Angela said. She said, and I agree with this. The worst is when they don't allow comments. Oh, I completely agree with that. I completely agree. I understand sometimes there are some reasons for that, if there's like some form of harassment or things of that sort. But when you post something, I feel like it's respectful to allow the audience to kind of react to it, whether it's via likes or comments or any form of engagement. It is Social media is two ways. We have to understand that it's a two-way channel. So as much as you put content out, you should be able to be open enough to say, okay, I might get heat from this, I might get love from it, but I'm just going to accept it as it is, even in comment form.
Yeah.
James said flops happen.
Yes, they do.
True indeed. Well, before we go over to our next question, where we're going to get into the true strategy of getting likes, getting shares, getting saves, I want to remind you guys we are on YouTube right now. We're actually on two channels. We are on my channel streaming as well as Megan's. But no matter what channel you are on, we want you to kind of join our community by hitting that subscribe button. And speaking of likes, if you're getting any value from this conversation, make sure you hit that like button on this video, because just like on Instagram, the algorithm, as I call the algorithm, Uncle Al is going to be very happy and is going to want to share this content because it notices that you guys like it, and it's going to share it to more people. So if you can, please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you are not a member of our community just yet. We're going to get into our next question. Just a little reminder, guys, as it's just me and Megan here today, we are not going to have our regular traditional game that we usually play with our guests. Usually we have a guest on. It's a brand new dynamic in a way where it's just me and her, and we don't feel we feel like we want to put more time into the conversation in regards to likes, shares, and saves, getting you guys that type of information. So we're going to put more time in regards to that rather than play the game. When we get our guests once more next week, hopefully, we will be able to play those games and still bring you such great context and information. But
Yes.
we're going to continue on with our next question. We're going to break it down per engagement type. So I know pretty much with engagement on posts is important, but it's hard to get more than ever on Instagram. I think most people can relate to that. But when most are scrolling is usually when they're just trying to fill up their time, whether they're online at Starbucks or they're a passenger in a car and they're just scrolling until they get to their destination. We usually are trying to catch people's attention at this point in time. and especially try to get them to engage in any way, shape, or form. So I want to ask you, Megan, as we kind of go back and forth, what strategies do you recommend that can help increase likes, saves, and shares? Um, I'm going to say let's focus on likes first. What do you suggest for people to up their likes?
Well, something to understand about any type of engagement when it comes to all social media, but really Instagram, is we as consumers are, um, what is the word I'm looking? Very selfish, right? We're consuming for our own entertainment or value or, connection with people. We're really not opening the app to say, I'm going to go support people. Like, yes, you probably want to do that too. And that's awesome. We should. But that's not like the reason we're opening the app, right? So we are selfish as consumers. So when it comes to things like likes and comments, which I know we're not talking about today, but that is a whole nother subject. I'd say that's the like hardest one for people to do because it's really nothing in it for them, right? Like I'm commenting to add to this conversation, but it's not a direct value to me. Um, so when it comes to likes and comments, we've got to think about what is going to make somebody double tap here. And it's not as common as it used to be because we are selfish, right? We're going on there to save or share. So I don't think it's like I don't think likes are down because people don't like your content. I think it's just not as common of a behavior to double tap as it used to be. I'm more likely
Really?
to, oh yeah, yeah. I want to know from everyone watching, do you guys find yourself liking as much as you used to? Sometimes I just scroll and I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, I
That's
like that. I have to go back and double tap it to show that love. So I don't know. I kind
it's
of watch. Go ahead.
it's funny you said that because I'm the opposite. I
Uh,
I like too fast, and then I go back and say, "Oh no, I probably shouldn't like this," and then I unlike it.
Yeah, I guess I could see that too if you're in that like scroll and just keep going, kind of giving love to everyone. Yeah, could see that. Um, so to answer your question though, to get more likes, you got to think about what is something that might just bring that smile to their face or connect with them, but it's not necessarily something um, deeper like tips or whatever. Like that is something we're talking about later with the saves and the shares. But likes are more like the light-hearted, relatable content. So if you're really aiming to up your like count, think about that stuff that when people just see it quickly, they're going to be like, oh, I like it. And it's more of that natural reaction.
Yes. Now we have a few examples, and I have them here loaded up, so you kind of have to just bear with me and let me know which ones you want me to show on the screen, Megan.
Okay, cool. For likes here, why don't we show the reel that has the highest of all of them, the Canva hack.
Got you.
Cool.
All right. So we got a couple examples of some of the things that we're going to be talking about as we bring about our conversation about getting more likes, shares, and saves. Do you see that on the screen now, Megan?
I do, yes, I do.
Awesome.
So this post specifically got pretty high engagement across the board. So that is also something you'll probably notice. Like if you've gotten a lot of views, it's likely that you'll have higher likes on that, saves, shares, comments in comparison to other stuff, but not always. And there are some examples I have later to kind of show that too. But this specific reel has, I'll just read off likes 3,261, saves 4,888, shares 2,804. And we'll get into like the psychology behind saves and shares there in a minute. But likes, it's a very quick reel with a lot of value real quick, right? It's people don't have to sit around too long to get what they are watching, and they're going to like it because it's something that isn't a common tip shared. It's kind of unique, but then once I show it, they're like, oh, that's actually kind of easy, I could do that, right? So it's a quick win for them, is a easy like. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you nailed it on the quick aspect in regards to the content itself. I feel like the shorter it is, and I'm not trying to tell you guys make 1 second content. We're not doing that no more.
No, 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 no.
But I feel like the shorter it is and the quicker you're able to kind of catch their attention, it's almost like you've already by default. To me, I feel like might be the easiest form of engagement to get from them, and you're
Mhm.
already in that level. You're already at like, so they're more likely to double tap, which is really quick. Like I said for myself, sometimes I double tap way too quick, but as soon as they catch my attention, bam, bam, I double tap, and I'm still watching. If it's a if it's short, like you said, like this is, then I probably will go into the caption. If it's long, it continues, and I feel like there might be an opportunity for more engagement at that point. But I have already liked within a few seconds of me seeing the content, and I can relate to it.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I think that something this isn't necessarily proven. I can't prove this with that specific piece of content, but analyzing it compared to other similar posts, similar topics or whatever, I think that the visual hook gets somebody to double tap faster too, because I'm like turning around in that, inviting
Mm.
people in to do it with me and like wave, and then it zooms into my computer screen. So that is very welcoming and it makes people like, oh, I'm there, right? It just makes people feel more connected and like they're getting that value fast. I'm not giving a long-winded, like I'm doing right now, a long-winded explanation prior.
I think that's a really great way to look at it in that way. And I'm trying to load up my example in regards to that because with likes, I kind of came about it in a different way. The way that I approach it, I'm going to show a carousel that I'm using an example because you kind of went for the subliminal aspect of getting the like. I don't recall seeing it there. I don't believe you directly asked.
Right,
And
that's true.
that's perfectly fine because we as Instagram users are used to the idea of liking. But I've always said sometimes we do have to go that extra step and we have to tell them exactly what we want. So I've actually started utilizing this new technique that I'm going to show you. And it's a technique that myself and you have spoke about on one of our previous if I remember, I think it was with Manu when we spoke about carousels, kind of a interrupter, and I introduced this new format in my carousels lately where, and I'll walk you through it. If it's is it on the screen yet?
Yes, just now.
All right, cool. So this is just one of my carousels. I think I posted a couple weeks ago, but I'll take you through it. Feel free to visit. By the way, all of our links are in the description if you want to go and check out all of those examples that we are sharing today. Our Instagram and YouTube are in the description of this video. So please go ahead and check that out and join our communities there. But as you can see, as I'm going through the scroll here, I have this one part here. Did I hit the wrong one? I think I hit the wrong one. I hit the wrong carousel. I had it loaded up just now. Let me find it. Okay, here it is. I believe it was this one. I posted 50 plus trial reels and learned this. So yeah, as you scroll through it, what you're gonna find is a certain point where you stop. I get your attention. I'm already kind of cluing it in right here that there's a change, which is little red here. And when you go to here, bam, right in front of your face. You cannot miss this if you are going through the carousel. I say, like this post. And I give them a reason to like this post. In the bottom of it, I say, if you have tested trial reels, double tap here. So I'm kind of giving them an incentive to engage because you now kind of connect with other individuals who have liked this post as well. And you're going, it's a pattern interrupt. So they're going through the carousel, and on the fifth page, they come to this and like, oh, if mind you, if they're already on the fifth page, they're invested into the content. So you've kind of already got their attention right then and there. They are more likely to engage with the piece of content at that point. So they double tap and then they just continue on with the rest of the content that I'm sharing with them. I've started practicing this and I've noticed it's been working very well. I've been using this for other forms of engagement, but mostly with likes on carousels because sometimes they might get so into the content as they're scrolling, they might forget to like because they're so into the story. And sometimes that's just the nature of the content that you're creating with our users. So This is just a little reminder for them. I don't save it to the end. I know some people save CTAs at the end. I have another one at the end, but something that's quick, I'll let them do it, is right there as the pattern interrupt in the middle. Have you been seeing more of this style of pattern interrupts with carousels, Megan?
Not like that full page. I'd say that I've only seen a couple, but I love it that you are doing that and that you're right in the sense it's a pattern interrupt, but also it's don't forget this point that Huston just shared. He said he gave them a reason to like it. It wasn't like to support, right? Because again, we are selfish consumers and we want to like to show I'm part of that crowd that's tried it. I have done it. And so that's a unique way to use a call to action that makes people feel included and not necessarily like if you got value, which is totally fine to do too in the right time. But when you can get more creative with those call to actions of what's in it for them, it is going to 10 times your engagement. That's a great point. I love that you shared that.
Thank you. Let's go over to our next engagement type, which will be saves. We want to talk about saves. So, quick reference to what saves are. Saves is when the user comes in contact with your content and decides to save it to their collections. Now, it could be saved into a specific folder or just generally saved for future reference, where they could come back to it and engage with the contact or just use what you've actually shared in that post, whether it's tips, how to instructions, a walkthrough. They could come back and reference it almost like it's a pamphlet, or whatever the content is, come back and utilize it later. Now, I have to admit, I've been doing this more for reels than anything else, just for like finding research, or inspiring reels that I might want to imitate their style and try different editing styles like. But it's been really, really useful. And I think Saves is going to take it to the next level now in regards to importance because of Instagram's new edits app, where I feel like it's pretty much built on the idea of saving. They make you save and now you could add notes to it. So is really, really focused on that whole engagement aspect. But I'm going to go to you, Megan, in regards to what strategies do you utilize to help people hit that save button more? And let me know which content that I should be showing. I'll get that ready for you.
Okay, cool. We can show the carousel about Reels do's and don'ts, please.
Got you.
Okay, so when it comes to saves, you gotta really think this is one of the most selfish engagement types, right? Like, I'm only going to save it if it actually does something for me as the consumer. Why would I save something that's just benefiting the creator besides maybe my friends who I just do want to support? I do that sometimes, but I actually have a folder like titled friends or support. But ultimately, you got to start with they're only going to save it if it's a lot of that value or inspiration where you think, why would they want to come back to it in the first place? And this this type of content is going to be quick wins, hacks, tips, even storylines that have like that value or that takeaway, that aha, or if you're, maybe inspiring other people within your niche of the, like you shared, Heston, the edits that people are doing or the styles or whatever, for inspiration and learning to come back to. That's also a great way to get saves. But before you even think about call to actions and how you're getting it, you got to think about the type of content. Would people actually want to save this? Because we don't want to ask people to do specific pieces of engagement or types of engagement if it doesn't make sense for that type of content.
Yeah.
It's just a funny reel about, my life or something or whatever. I'm not going to ask people to save that. Like, why would they save that? So this specific carousel is a good example to show you that you could get more saves or shares than likes, right? So sometimes the likes are being shown outward. Well, they are if you have them public, but saved. So this specific post got 1,242 likes, but 2,132 saves. So
Wow.
as the creator, it's so important to know your metrics, to know, okay, this actually really did good. Like, it didn't just do good with the likes and the views, but people are saving it to come back to. And the reason, again, the content here is very tip, it's like 5 tips, right? So they have 5 things they want to come back and check on their own reels. Um, Also, I will say that on the second slide, it's very small, but because that slide is pretty plain, it can grab attention. I usually will say, save this post with the, if you, for your next reel or whatever. I don't know what I said on this one specifically, but
Save this
yes.
post now if that is what you want.
Yeah. So like
Straight to the
that's
point.
yeah, if you want that, then save it. And so it's going to just get people to, before they even go through all of it, hit that save button. Um, and then at the, if they don't do it by then, if they actually did find value, then they would come back and save it there. But I think that yes, the one tip can be saved, but tips like this with 5 tips or posts that have another example I
Mhm.
was going to share was like storytelling hooks, and that was like almost 3 times the amount of saves compared to likes. And it's just because it's so many things they want to come back to. They're not going to remember 37 hooks, they're not going to remember all 5 tips. So definitely giving that a lot of stuff but simplified, right? So there's a lot of information but it's simple to understand, and telling people to save it for their benefit.
Yes, and that's a great way that you just kind of ended it. I was going to say that because I noticed you did that too with that same slide. I'm going back to it now. There's a benefit key that you are pulling at for the users and making them want to kind of relate. First off, they're relating to the content, but then you're giving them that benefit to save it as well for future reference. Because here you even say, as you mentioned, with the save this post now, you've had this is the second slide. So for those that don't know, with carousels, if somebody doesn't engage with the carousel the first time they see it, they might be on Instagram later on during the day and they might come across the same carousel, but now it shows from the second slide. So, as Megan has rightfully done, she kind of shared what the content is like, but she kind of started telling the story a little bit, like started connecting in the messaging already with the words here, and then immediately related at the bottom says save this post now if this is what you want. That's great storytelling right there, and you're pulling them in. And you also, I don't know if you did this purposely, the green where it says you're in the right place, it almost feels like an arrow, so you're making them want to actually slide to see more. And that's when you kind of get their attention. They're now listening, I'm sorry, they're now reading more into it. But you got that call of action right there with the icon. Notice that there's the icon there as well, so
That's true.
they can identify it easier. That's a great way to kind of pull in attention to get that save.
Great point.
I'm
Yeah,
curious
thank
from
you.
those that are watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, how many of you guys actually use the save feature when you come across content yourself when you're scrolling on Instagram? I would love to know if this is something that you use daily, maybe once in a blue. I generally use it probably daily, and sometimes I have my little 15 minutes where I'm just like scrolling Reels tab, and I'm scrolling with intent to look for inspirational videos that inspired me to do something similar. And I
Mm.
save those to my little Reels for Research folder. So I want to know from you guys. Go ahead and put it in the live chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay. Do you use the save feature? We would love to know.
Yes.
I'm going to go to my save. If I have it here. Now, what I want to talk about with saves is not really specifically the number, but it's more the idea behind how I get the saves. Let's see if I could pull this up here. I feel like now with the way that Megan kind of introduced her own just now, that was more direct, kind of how I did in the first one with likes. It was more direct. With this one, Megan went more direct. I'm kind of going a little bit more subliminal, but consecutive. I'm playing the long game. And what I mean by that is I'm using series to actually influence people to save the content. Series, for those that don't know, is pretty much if you create content around a particular idea or a concept, but you create multiple of this series, different iterations. So, for instance, the one that I want to show with you guys, give me a moment as I try to pull it up, is one that I have called Manychat 101. For those that don't know, I specialize in ManyChat and DM automation. And one of the things that I've wanted to do is share some of that information to get people a little bit more informed of what the possibilities are with ManyChat. So I've created this series where I give people almost on a weekly basis a few tips and bits about ManyChat and how you can utilize it. And this last one, I haven't added to this in a while, this series, because I'm changing some of the content format. But what you can see here, and I have several series to tell you the truth. I'm just focusing on this one here, ManyChat 101. I'm at part 13. Part 13, and the numbers have been doing very well in regards to saves, particularly with my series, because people will save it. Sometimes they might even put it in one particular folder. It might be a folder only of my contents named after that series because they are following and want to keep that for reference in the future instead of relying on perhaps a hashtag, which I've noticed using a hashtag lately. I don't know if you've noticed this, Megan, because I used to use it for this before and it doesn't work anymore. Where normally, like this type of series, I would create a hashtag, let's call it ManyChat 101. And then when you click on that hashtag, it shows you, it goes to a page and shows you all of the my other posts with that hashtag. They don't do that anymore. They stopped
No.
doing that. And I feel like that's such a shame because people were able to utilize it in that particular way that I'm describing. You could create what they would consider a branded hashtag, whether it's for a series or a product, and collect all of the posts there. Well, they don't allow that anymore, unfortunately. So the good thing is we do have saves, and you can kind of tell people, hey, save this content, or they would probably do it on their own if you're creating a series because they want to kind of collect all of them and refer to them when needed. I think ManyChat is a great one because you it's kind of hard to get information on ManyChat very easily on Instagram. Usually it's just telling it's people telling you the link in bio is dead, but what else could you do with ManyChat? It's very hard to find, but you could come across my content, save it for later reference and utilize the information I'm putting into it. That's so. And as you just like I said, I have other series. I have more do more with ManyChat. Um I was doing audios at one point, got to volume 4. I treated it like a mixtape. That's why I use the word volume. But yeah, I think series is a great way to kind of natively get them to start saving your content so they can kind of build a collection of your own stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That is a really good point. I personally talk about series a lot, and I know a lot of people do in regards to getting more followers because it is really good for that, right? If I liked the, third one of your series that I came across randomly, I'm probably going to follow you so I don't miss the next. So it is really good for that. But pointing out the fact that it's great for those saves. It's like if I saved all of those, I can go back when I have time. Because remember, we're scrolling when we're like in between things. So when I have time and I can go back to like your little mini master class of tips around ManyChat.
Yeah. That's a great way to look at it. It's like a little mini master class when you're able to put it all together. If you have time on the weekend, if it's all reels, just imagine if somebody did that with reels and they collected 10 reels, each one is a minute or two. You probably have like a good collection of 10. That's 20 minutes worth of whatever the topic is that someone is
Yeah.
learning from you. And most likely when they save it, they share it. It's if it's savable, in my opinion, it's shareable. And they might not put it on IG stories, but if somebody has an issue or problem and they remember it, they'll end up sharing it to that person probably via the DMs.
Yep, that's a very good point. Those two do go hand in hand more than I would say likes.
Yes, I agree. Speaking of shares, let's get into our last engagement type shares. Once again, before we jump into it, I want to remind you guys we are on two, not one, two YouTube channels, and you have the opportunity to subscribe to both if you'd like. But please subscribe if you're getting some good value from us, as well as do something that we are talking about now engagement. Give us a like if you can, if you're enjoying the content from this video. Let others find it by Uncle Al sharing it because he knows that you liked it. Most likely, other people will like it as well. So, with that out of the way, I want to get into our last engagement type, which is all about shares, which is something that we've heard Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, speak quite frankly about that it is probably the most important, or at least one of the three most important types of engagement types because it helps improve your reach of your content. I mean, without a doubt, if I simply just take one post, from a viewer, let's say James, if I take James' post and I share it to Megan, it just doubled the views, just simply just by one person. Now imagine if I take that same post and I share it to IG stories, or I share it to a DM group where other people are viewing it. That's how reach works. And the more that it goes to other people, it's more likely those people will just continue sharing it as well. But how do we get people to actually do that is the question. So, Megan, I want to go to you as I try to pull up the specific content type example that you have
Yeah,
sent over, and we'll talk more about.
for sure. Yeah, this one will be the single infographic. Please, the 25 simple ways to gain 1,000 new
Gotcha.
followers. So this one specifically, I won't lie. When I created this post, I was going for saves, which it did end up getting, I think, like 5 more saves than shares. So I guess I did hit that goal, right? The creation goal, but I wasn't aware or didn't expect I was going to get so many shares, like 430 something shares on this, where you can see the likes are much lower, 300 something. Um, so the reason why people are sharing is that need as humans to want to be of service to other people, right? Like this, if this is valuable, like this post specifically has a lot of value, so they could share it for that. They could share it, if people with their friends who are also wanting to grow, they could share it with somebody else who maybe is in a similar niche as me, and maybe get, oh look, this post, you could do a post like this. They could share it to be able to, sometimes people don't use save, sometimes they'll just share with friends and like go back to it that way. And also share it to their story because they want to be seen as that expert also, or that person that's helping other people. My infographics get shared on stories a lot because the quotes and infographics shared on stories, they want
Yeah.
somebody else to see their story, and have that um, respect from their audience that they're sharing value, or different things that they might be interested in too. So definitely think about that. Why would somebody want to be sharing it? They want to be seen a certain way. Or funny, right? Like funny things I think get shared in the DM so much. Memes, relatable things. So definitely friends or significant others. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so you. Like you're sharing it with them, or oh, we did this too, or things like events coming up. I want to do this. Let's create this. Let's make this. Let's do this kind of thing. So that type of content gets shared a lot as well. But going back to this specific post, I think a lot of the shares came from people sharing to their story and being able to, have that, like that clout of their own, like they're the leader in that industry or helping other people too. So definitely thinking about, if you're asking people to share or you're wanting to increase shares, it's got to be something that is going to put that person who's sharing it in the light they want to be seen in. And I actually am a little bit worried about what's going to happen. Kind of side note here, what's going to happen to shares where we now have blends coming into the picture, right? That's what it's called.
Yes, yes, you're right. If you
Yeah.
don't mind, if you kind of expand a little bit on what blends is for those that don't know what that features coming to Instagram is.
Yeah, I actually see it on mine, but I haven't tested it yet, so should probably test it.
Oh, okay.
But um, it's where you're gonna, if you have a DM going with a friend of yours or even a group, you can press the blend button, and it's going to be like your own little feed of reels that both of you. It's going to be shown to both of you, the same feed of those reels, so you can, instead of sharing them to each other, it's kind of like you're both in that feed looking at them together, if that makes sense. And I feel like
It's
that might,
weird.
yeah, right? It's like, it's, I like sharing, and I also like opening up and receiving. Like that person thought of me for this versus the algorithm thought of me for this. I actually
Yeah,
don't
I
like
come.
when, oh, go ahead.
No, no, sorry. You go ahead. Continue.
I really don't like when I like I'm going to send it to someone, and how we were talking about, I can see someone else liked it already. I'm like, oh darn, they already saw it, and they didn't think of me to send it. Like they should have sent it. I want to send it to them. So I don't know. I like sharing.
I you first off, you brought up a lot of great points. I'm gonna go back in regard to, you know what, I'll go back to that later as well on the topic of blends. 'Cause we never really spoke about blends before. I don't believe we have. I haven't tried it out yet, and I have to be honest, just like you, I'm not too fond of the idea. I like, just as you described, if somebody's thinking of me, they sent out a meme because maybe it relates to something that we spoke about, our previous history, something that they just know that I would enjoy. I have two group chats that I'm in right now, and they're all with family. One of them is just my brothers, and then another one's my brother, my cousin. And the amount of memes that we share on a daily basis, I think we alone contribute to the majority of shares on Instagram. It's ridiculous. And just like as you described, sometimes you might send a meme that may have been shared already. So we had this thing where we just scream out late because it's already been shared, like maybe sometime a few days or weeks ago. But
Love it.
I agree. I think with blends, um, the idea that it's supposed to use AI or the algorithm and determine, okay, from the type of content that these two or more people share, let's figure out what other type of reels that they would like. I think the premise of it is good. I don't like the practice of it, meaning that me jumping into this brand new customized feed that an algorithm thinks me and my friend are going to like. We like what we like and we want to send it to each other. I don't need an algorithm to kind of determine that for us. And I feel like it's honestly Instagram just made this in another way to shove ads in. It doesn't have ads yet, from my understanding, but I would not be surprised if I give another 6 months. Listen, Instagram is a business. I'm tired of telling people this. Instagram is a business. Everything has a focus of money at the end of it. They may not introduce ads into it yet, but it will. And this is a very easy way for them to get ads in. The same ads that they have on the Reels tab and Explore, they could plug it in right here and very easily and cheaply create a new form of earnings from Instagram in a new channel, a new source. I'm not a fan of it. I have to say, I don't think it's gonna last. I really don't believe so. I would love to look back in a year and say, okay, I guess I was wrong, but I don't see it. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Adam was talking about it and he was very excited about it. And I was kind of confused of where that excitement really came from. I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like, to me, I also feel like that feed, if I have somebody, like I have a group of friends, like we send, funny, like girl in your 30s, relatable memes and quotes. And I have a group that like we send motivational stuff to. And if I want to see variety, right? Like I have my husband who I'm sending dog stuff to or travel stuff to. I don't want to just go to that feed that's just that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Now, in regards to what you spoke about shares in in the content that we have on the screen with what you've actually displayed here, I completely agree. I think it's a great way that people can kind of step into that position of an expert. If it's an
Mm.
infograph such as this is a very well designed infograph that if somebody was to come across scrolling on this, it would stop them from scrolling. You have the title right at the top, and then you have a logo that they can easily recognize, and then you have all of the information. They will stop and spend time reading it if that title catches their attention, which it seems like that's exactly what has happened with this piece of content for you. Now, you said that this one has a little bit more shares and saves, and that goes back to what we discussed earlier, where saves and shares kind of work hand in hand. Um, I have this weird habit now that that I don't know when it started, but if me and my wife are in the same room, now she's on Instagram, but she's not on Instagram. She rather Facebook. So if I'm on
Mm.
Instagram and we're both in a room and we're not using the TV, I would literally it's memes that I've saved to show her later because I if I know if I send it to her she's not going to watch it. I would literally put it on the TV and we would watch memes on the TV. And then if she likes them enough, I would share them with others. It's like she's my barometer. If this meme is good enough to share with a few other people, that is my
That's
new
hilarious.
evening evening routine that I've been doing lately. But
Oh,
I think shares and saves definitely work together hand in hand, and like I said, I'll go back. I think out of all of the ones that we discussed, shares probably is the most important out of all of these engagement types. I'm not saying
Mhm.
none of them are valuable. I just feel like if you are trying to take it to the next level to increase your reach, which by nature increases your other engagement, such as likes and saves, you want to actually kind of focus on creating shareable content. This content that Megan has just shared here, a perfect example of type of shareable content because somebody wants to give value from this type of infographic to somebody else. Memes, on the other
Mhm.
hand, it's kind of the same thing. It's just different value. You want to make somebody change their mood and laugh at something. It's the same thing, just a different type of context. But
Yeah.
I completely
Mhm.
agree in regards to sharing.
Yeah. Real quick before, sorry, before you go on to yours, but you also want to think about when you're thinking about if you want more shares. That specific one, I was kind of hesitant. I don't share too many like girly looking things because I know that I
Mm,
have a wide variety of different people in my audience. I think I have like 75% female, but still, uh, a very manly man may not share that on his story. So it may not stop his scroll, may not pop up in his feed. So that is something to consider, but also like balance your own desire, what you want it to look like, and your own brand for sure. Very important. So just keep that in mind too. And when you're creating the design, I saw that I think James asked if I created it in Canva. I actually created that one with Adobe Express, but I mean, whatever you're doing with the creation process, just think of would people want to, visually share this too.
yes, that's an excellent point that we don't really speak on. And I have to admit that sometimes I don't truly consider, but I think my brand colors are kind of wide as it is. So they're not too dark, but then they're not too light. They're bright. I think
Yeah.
I can apply it to most, but that is something very strongly to consider your audience demographics. If you have an audience that is mostly female, you might want to start catering some of the visual aesthetics of your content towards them to please your majority audience. If it's lighter colors, and this is, I don't know off the top of my head, it's been a while since I've studied kind of visual aspects like this, but usually it's lighter colors. The fonts are usually a little bit different compared to what you would be doing for a more masculine audience. So I think that's an excellent point that not too many people speak about in regards to engagement. So
Thank you.
very key. I like that. Um, the last one that I have, I don't really have anything to share visually. I'm going to speak more about it. Once again, um, I work with Manychat and DM automation, and I've always said a lot of the conversation usually happens privately. It happens one on one, and I felt like we shouldn't keep CTAs to engage publicly. It can be private as well. So what I've been doing, I don't have an example because I don't want to open up any other public conversation I've had with other people. I respect their privacy. But what I've been doing is with certain automations that I have set up, I would create two different flows. Now, if the person follows me, um, I would ask at the end of it that they share the content that they've actually commented on. So, for example, I think I had one last week where I did like a crossword puzzle where if I gave you clues about Instagram, if you plugged in any of the keywords, it would trigger the automation. It gave you a little bit of information, it gave you the answer code, but at the end of it, it determines if you are following me or not. Now, if you're not following me, my chatbot would be smart enough to say, all right, let's try to get this person to convert and become a follower. So it would send them that notification. But if you're already following me, it means we have some form of relationship already, and you've already engaged with this content. You're more likely to share it because you've already engaged. We're in the DMs and you liked it that much that if I say, hey, by the way, if you've enjoyed this, share it to a friend of yours via DM or on your IG stories. And I've noticed it's been working. It's really been helping out because it's just that little reminder at the end of our conversation. Say, oh, yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and actually do this because they've asked and I enjoyed the content. So I say that to say not all CTAs need to be in public. It can be private in a one-on-one conversation in the DMs or even in a broadcast channel, which is somewhat private, but in a group manner, you can put it there as well and ask people to say, you know what, I just posted this piece of content. I think it's doing well, but it can do better. Please, if you can, go out there and share it. You say that to your community, they are already more familiar with you. They're more likely to do it. So, just a couple of ways that you can build up on that engagement of shares.
That's a really really great tip. And if you guys are struggling with ManyChat, I saw James said that you've helped him so much with ManyChat not feel like so
Oh,
icky, that overwhelm for sure. So that's great. But using things like ManyChat to get that next level, because asking for too many call to actions in a post is a no go, right? We don't want to say like, save, share, all the
yes.
things. So doing that is really helpful to get, all of those types of engagement. And it's not just because it's spaced out or in private, but it's because you're having that conversation with them and they're getting more from you. So you said like that fun example that you have, they're like, I enjoyed this conversation, this connection. Yeah, I want to share it. So it's that next level
Yeah.
of why would they want to share it? Not just because I got a little value. Maybe I would have done that already. But that game style, that was a great idea.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So I think we've covered all of what we wanted to cover here today, Megan, in regards to getting more likes, getting more saves, and getting more shares on Instagram. We shared with you guys what we thought in regards to why engagement is important on Instagram and a few of our own strategies, some of them that we were even able to visually show you guys. Thank you so much, Megan, for sharing those examples with us. You broke down the numbers too. Like, so thanks for that. I should have done that on my part. I completely forgot. But thank you so much for that. Guys, we are hoping that you are utilizing some of the content we are sharing with you guys in regards to building out your social media strategy on Instagram to help get more engagement. And I know we only kind of limited the conversation today to likes, saves, and shares, but there's also comments and some of the other forms of engagement that you can start considering as well. With reels, they always say watch time is another key one. If these are things that are important to you guys and you want us to kind of speak more on, please let us know. You can always share that in the comments or in the live chat, as well as join our broadcast channel. Megan and I have a broadcast channel that you can find that we definitely should like to engage a little bit more with the audience there. If you want to, please join that, subscribe as well. But we are so glad that you guys came to us today to discuss this topic. Was there any other last remarks that you wanted to share before we kind of end off here on our latest episode?
I think I'm good. I just want to make sure we didn't miss any questions in the chat. I have both chats, so
Sure.
I don't know if which ones to look at here. I think I see Angela asks Megan, based on what you know about me, which product would you recommend I buy to learn more about gaining more likes, saves, shares? If, in regards to like my own products, I actually closed off my membership, which had specific trainings for each one of those because I'm
Oh,
revamping, redoing some stuff. So I don't have anything right now that's direct to those specifics. But because I closed it off, maybe I should do like a couple little reels or a little mini series on that. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that for you, Angela. But if I come across any, I will DM you if I come across any from other people that I found valuable.
yes. And just do a little bit of research online. You might come across a few of those infographics as well as that look like Megan's or others that would kind of lead you in the right direction as well. Um, I think that's all that we have to share here for today. Once again, guys, this was a different type of episode today. We didn't have any guests, but we are planning to have two two guests for the next 2 weeks. Well, one next week, one the week after. Giving you guys a little heads up, in the US, where we are both located, there will be a holiday. I believe it's 3 Mondays from now. That is Memorial Day in May. We will let you guys know a little bit more information as we get closer to that date. We will be sharing most of that in that same broadcast channel that I mentioned. So if you wanted to find out more if we are going to have a show or not, usually we don't do shows on the holidays, but we might do something light. Not quite sure just yet, but still trying to figure out what the plans are. But if you guys are interested, once again, check out our broadcast channel for any news and announcements that we'll make there. I hope that you guys are able to take this information and, as I always say, step your gram up in the best way possible. And I think that's it. We're done. We're at the top of the
Awesome.
hour.
Yes, if you guys did love this style where we did more teaching with examples, let us know in the comments or in our DMs because we always want that feedback to give you the best experience here and for you to take away the most you can from our social roundtable. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you guys. And we'll see you next Monday with a brand new topic and a brand new guest. Until then, guys, later. We're out in 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. Catch you guys in the next one. And ta ta.